Hello, I'm Derek Ray, and you're listening to the Scottish Football Forums podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the Scottish Football Forums podcast. I'm once again joined by Laurie, the co-host of the show.
Hello.
And we mentioned last week that we were going to discuss standing at football. So we have a Tory activist and also a Hearts fan joining us this evening. Hello, Ian.
Hi guys, thanks for having me on.
Aye, no problem. We thought it'd be good to get you on. I know that you're keen to get standing at football reintroduced. So I'd like to hear your view on that later on in the podcast. So I thought we'd start off the show with a look at yesterday's Scotland game, where we comprehensively humped Lichtenstein 1-0. I wonder, did either of you watch it?
I was watching it and I drifted off at the start of the second half and I woke to the final 10 minutes as Scotland held on for a memorable victory. Well, I wouldn't say they really held on. I thought they seemed to be worthy winners from what I saw in the first half anyway. We should have been a couple of goals ahead from what I saw, and it could have been worse. I kind of predicted, although I didn't predict on here, but I did say before the game I thought it would probably end up being a narrow victory. But I think we started decently enough. We were getting forward. Still unconvinced with Levine and the way we were playing. I said on the forum I thought Fletcher was kind of waste of a player, almost having him, one of our best players, sitting behind the midfield in a game against Lichtenstein. It seemed to just totally take him out of the game. But you know, we won. We did what we need to. So the slight blinded optimism continues for at least another 2-3 days.
And that's most of the game I saw. I missed the last 10 minutes. I'm not convinced I missed anything much by missing the last 10 minutes. But yeah, expectations were met. Happy to keep a clean sheet. Any team with a Caldwell at centre-half keeping a clean sheet has to be something to be reasonably happy about. So yeah, happy with the game. Performance was fairly dull, but that's what you get with Craig Levine. And yeah, we can dream for another few days that we can famously beat Spain. I think we were all afraid of Liechtenstein beating us and then us beating Spain. But that's out the window now. So it looks like, yeah, probably betting on Spain, I have to say.
Yeah, you mentioned Caldwell at the back there, but I thought that Berra stuck out like a sore thumb. I thought he was woeful. There's so many times he was just out of position, poor decision making. I thought he was really poor. Other than that, in defence, I thought Hutton looked really good going down the right. Although I wish he would stop doing a stupid back heel. He done it. I think he made it past his last man, and the guy slid behind him, and for some reason Hutton decided to back heel it into the tackle, and Hutton did it another 2-3 times afterwards. I just cut out the fancy stuff and just keep it simple for me. Is it Bardsley at left back? The amount of times I've seen him go down the wing, and I even seen him in a centre forward role at one point. I'm not really sure if he's allowed that much reign. If Levine's saying he's just do what you want, but it's not often you see a left back doing that.
Not for Scotland either.
Yeah, you're right. Although it is Liechtenstein, we should be maybe a bit more freedom to attack. But Caldwell, I thought he was okay. I know there's a lot of people who aren't big fans of him, but I thought he was okay.
Yeah, he was okay, but you've got to take the fact that we were playing a country with, what, 35. Someone was mentioning a country the size of Inverness about on the forum. So it's just we did our job, but I still think Levine tries the one up front too much. I know 4-5-1 can be attacking. You know, Barcelona play it, as people keep mentioning, but we don't have the same players as Barcelona, and I think we'd just be better with two strikers, especially against a team like that. As I say, take away not necessarily Fletcher as a player. I like Fletcher, but take away that position he was in and put that up front. Would we have lost anything not having Fletcher sitting in front of the defence? Do we need anyone there? I don't think we did.
Maybe with the midfield that we went out with, I think maybe we do need somebody to protect the defence, because although Adam, he can play there, he has played there for Liverpool, he doesn't really do it as a defensive minded player. He's more as a playmaker sitting back there, where I do think we need somebody to protect the defence, Berra and Caldwell.
Against Lichtenstein.
Well,
And we
they
do
did
on this
have a
one,
couple.
Laurie. We shouldn't be protecting the defence against Liechtenstein. You know what? Get a couple of strikers on there. Let's not be so negative, and let's go out and give them a good old-fashioned hammering.
Exactly. I mean, I know we're Scotland, and people always go, "Oh, you're expecting too much of our players," and yeah, that's fine when we play Spain. Of course, we're going to play defensive. We're going to kind of try and hold on and hit them on the break. But the same, when we're playing Lithuania and Liechtenstein, we have much better players. You got players who play for Liverpool, Manchester United, lots of other Premier League teams. Players who play for Rangers and Celtic. It's players who have a decent caliber when we're playing teams like Liechtenstein. I mean, we should have the confidence to go out there, play a couple up front, and incidents like Adam when he drilled the ball into the box and the keeper managed to palm it away. Well, you only have one striker, and if you had another striker, he could have made the run to the near post and flicked it in. If there's no point in having your fullbacks bombing forward and getting the ball in the box if there isn't anyone in there apart from Craig McGill-Smith, who did get his goal, but let's be honest, it was more to do with terrible defending and goalkeeping than it was an amazing goal, I thought.
We were talking there about Phil Bardsley playing at left back but ending up front because actually we were so far on top. Now Phil's a pretty average fullback. He's all right. I think he's better than Craney and Kirk Broadfoot. So yeah, sure, get him in. But he shouldn't be up front. When we're so on top, we get another striker in the box and we get some goals because Bardsley's no really the goal threat we're looking for.
No, exactly.
We were a bit short up front with options we had. I suppose we had Goodwillie, which I think he could have done a job, but other than that, just Levine seems to be set in his ways with this one up front that he doesn't even really give himself an option. Because if he'd started with Goodwillie, then who else did we have?
Ross McCormack. But someone didn't call him up.
There's tons of Scottish strikers around who are good enough to score a goal into Liechtenstein, and it's whether Levine calls them up or not. He doesn't call them up because he's not going to play them because he's going to stick to one up front. To me, that's frustrating.
Yeah, he seems so defiant about it as well. He's constantly backing up his one up top, saying that that's how it's done in international football. He doesn't seem to be open to new ideas.
Yeah, I mean it works in certain games and it works in an attacking sense if you have the right players, and as I've just said there, I think too many people keep referring to Barcelona and their setup, and that's all well and good when you've got Messi and you've got Villa and Pedro and Xavi and Iniesta, but you have to play to your kind of strengths, and I think when you're playing a team who are of the standard of Liechtenstein, we should play two up front and we should try and go out there and score a couple of goals, because the problem is it was 1-0 and we were well deserved of the win. But at 1-0, it doesn't matter how bad the team is and how, one moment, one lapse of concentration, one deflected shot, one complete freak goal. Anyone can score one goal. I always believe that. A one goal lead is always kind of dodgy.
And hey, Liechtenstein had a great shot. I mean, McGregor, Scotland's number 2, had to make a great save.
Yeah.
The first half there.
I think that Scotland's number 2. For once, the Hearts fans outnumber the other fans on the podcast, so maybe we got 2 Craig Gordon fans in here for a change.
He was very complimentary though, Craig Gordon in the studio to McGregor, so definitely no bitterness.
He's not going to be like that in the studio though. I know he won't be. It's good though. I mean, at least we've got one position where we've got a decent backup. We will always have 2 good keepers, well, for years to come. For now, anyway.
Yeah, I think we've got other positions that are fairly strong, like Bannon. I was very impressed with Bannon, and Adam, Fletcher, even Forrest when he came on. He didn't get a chance to really do much, but from his time this season at Celtic, I think he's going to have a great future with Scotland. And Naismith as well. Forgot to mention him. Although he wasn't down as a striker, I thought he was the one that was most likely to score. And I had a cheeky fiver on him, but I wasn't too fussed when McGill-Smith headed that in.
I put Lichtenstein down at 10-1. Just so I couldn't lose. Scotland win, then it's all good we win. And if we got beat, then at least I get some money. So the only way I could have lost would have been a draw, really. I've got some reaction on the forum. Just quickly go through some. Gus Meister basically just said, "Well done, Scotland. Could have been better, but 3 points is what it was all about." Doug Lasta saying, "Poor game of footy in the second half, but 3 points and now in second place by 1 point. Comes down to the last game against the Spaniards and the Czechs game in Lithuania, so still not easy." Danny 1888 said, "Tonight's win happened because Craig McHale-Smith was able to take advantage of awful defending and goalkeeping. Nothing much more than that. It's sad that in 2 games against a country the size of Inverness, we've needed a 97th minute winner and 1 piece of poor play by Lichtenstein to beat them home and away. We really should be expected to win by 2 or 3 against them, but sadly we have downgraded far too much." Ronnie Rob, 3 points, that's what was needed. On to Alicante now, and who knows, settle for the same again, and nothing wrong in hoping that Lithuania do us a favour. Shame about dodgy penalty decisions. And Hultoon Clock, the Dundee fan, says, "So Scotland beat a team of journeymen 1-0. No wonder it needs a miracle for them to progress." So a bit of a mixed reaction there from people on the forum.
So I thought we'd look at our predictions from last week. Murray, you know how I like to go over the predictions. So you'd went for a 3-0 victory to Lichtenstein, which thankfully didn't happen. And Greg, well, he went for a 0-0, a boring 0-0. And then I went for a 1-0 Scotland, which stupidly I didn't put any money on. I'm beginning to regret that, especially when I put a fiver on Naismith to score.
What would it have been, evens, for Scotland to win 1-0 against a rubbish team?
Well, I don't know, but at least it would have been a profit.
I suppose.
A winning bet's a winning bet, and it's always a good one.
Indeed.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, so following on from Scotland, we were going to move on to standing at football and the possibility of this returning, obviously in particular to SPL stadiums. It's a topic which has come up quite recently on the forum. An actual vote was put out, a poll was put out, taking members' votes, and that was started by Go and Jock. And it was quite a resounding yes in terms of would people like to see the return of standing areas in SPL stadiums, and 93% yes, and just 7% no at the moment. So at the moment, it seems that certainly on the Scottish Football forums, most people are in favour of a return of standing areas at football. And Iain, I know that's something that you feel quite strongly about, so I'll maybe pass over you. You can maybe explain exactly what the sort of safe standing is and how that would work, because I know the main issue for people is usually the safety side of it, and obviously because of certain disasters, Hillsborough and the likes that have happened in the past. So tell us about safe standing and how this would obviously affect the game.
Thanks, Laurie. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that needs to be made very, very clear when people are talking about terraces returning to the football and us being able to stand at the football, I think your poll is realistic enough in that there is a lot of support amongst the football community, the most important football community, which is the fans, those of us that are going along every week, paying our money, who are enjoying following our teams. We're not talking about returning to the terraces that we had 30 years ago, 20 years ago, that were pretty ramshackle, pretty run down, and absolutely proved themselves to be dangerous in a stadium that wasn't being well run either by the club, by the police, whoever. We're talking about is a safe standing that is now seen right across Europe. We'll keep returning to Germany as the best example. Now, what they do in Germany is the safe standing is everybody has a place assigned to stand there, and there is a seat that flips down, because for the European games, which I obviously aspire to see Hearts in Europe every year playing in the Champions League. So when the Champions League games come around, and everybody has to be seated, because that's the rule right across Europe for the European League games, Europa League games, Champions League games, everybody has a seat there. So everybody has their own space when they're standing, but they choose to stand during the league games, where actually the individual countries have their say over whether they're going to let their top league stand or sit. So there is a space for you to have a seat. You have your own space, so it's not crushed. There is a ticket. Here it is. Here is a space that's assigned to Laurie Dunsire. Here's a space assigned to Craig Eadie. Here's a space assigned to Iain McGill. And that stops things like too many people being put in to too small a